You're listening to the Love Your Neighbor podcast.
Well, thank you for joining us. This is the Links Podcast, and we are sponsored. We're brought to you this season by BrandonWellness.com. Brandon Wellness is for the purpose of building and investing in the health and wellness of our community, and we're so thankful for the people at Brandon Wellness and their vision for building a community center and building community within Brandon and the surrounding area. And so today we have a very special guest who is very interested in the health and wellness of our community, Claire Toth. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm honored to be among your guests.
Oh my goodness. They said the same thing about you. Claire Toth is on here. Oh my goodness. This is, so it goes both ways.
Well, thanks.
Thank you you wouldn't have had to say yes to this. You've got a lot of other things going on. You could be doing lots of things, but you're here and.
This is fun.
Yeah. So for those that maybe don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, how you got to live in Brandon, because we do share. We moved here a little over 7 years ago.
Yeah. Time
almost
goes,
within a few months of each other. So.
Yeah. Time goes fast. Okay, so I was born. No, I'm just kidding. I like to talk, so you'll have to shorten my stories. So we moved to Brandon in 2015. Yes. And I have a husband, and I have now an 8th grader and a 6th grade. They're both boys. So they were about not quite 5 and 7 when we moved here, which was a great time to move. Mm-hmm. We came from Washington State, where we had been for 11 years. And before that, I was born and raised in California.
Oh, whereabouts in California? That's a big place.
So outside of Pasadena, about 40 minutes from LA.
Okay.
And then I went to UCLA in West LA, and then I lived in Orange County in Costa Mesa and Huntington Beach before I moved to Washington State. Yeah.
I did not. I knew I didn't know that California connection.
Yeah. My husband and I met. Well, he was working in Laguna Beach. We met on a blind date. So
okay.
Yeah.
What a beautiful part of the world.
It is.
Be from.
It is. It wasn't hard to leave though. I mean, there's some things, my husband was a surfer, so especially South Dakota, surfing is a little tricky.
Sure. Virtual surfing.
Yeah, right. Paddleboarding sometimes gets a little bit close to that, but, we miss the beaches, and my family is still there.
Okay.
But when we left to go to Washington, we thought, we're probably not coming back.
Around what time, just historically, when did you guys decide to move to Washington?
Okay, so we were dating, and he was kind of in transition, finishing up his master's and some professional credentials, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so as we were dating, he was looking, and so we sort of chose Washington together. And then he proposed a week before he moved to Washington State, and said, now you stay here, and we'll get married soon.
Now, I know your husband.
Yeah.
And is there a story there?
Well, he always says that, God kind of forced his hand. Like, he's going to have to move to Washington, so he's going to have to, kind of ante up because he's a slow and steady kind of guy. Yeah. I think I had it figured out pretty quickly. But he thought he'd been on this road before, and so he was just careful and methodical and reserved. But as we went through that process, we went together to Washington to check it out. Mm-hmm. And so, we were kind of bearing all our worries and fears. And at some point I said, okay, I'll go, leave my career, everything, but I got to know you're in this. Like, there's a reason for me to go. Right. So then he had to tell me he loved me. And then,
okay.
Then a ring came, and
I see.
But the long distance was good. I think it solidified everything for both of us. So it was 2005, February. January, I moved my stuff up. February, we went on a honeymoon, and I moved right back to Washington, didn't go back to California after the honeymoon.
Wow. So then have kids.
Yep.
Get married, have kids, Washington. What was the reason of moving to South Dakota? Besides the obvious beauty and weather and all of those other things, the great people.
Yeah.
Besides the obvious, what else brought you to Brandon?
Well, my husband had gone through some more graduate school to get his doctorate to be better equipped for the ministry he was doing, and kind of we felt like, there's something else. God's leading us to something else. And so went through the process, interviewed, and we came out here to visit, and we just felt like this is it. So when we moved to Washington State, we really got a heart for the small town. And so we said, okay, well, wherever we're supposed to be, we can't even make a wish list. We don't even know where God wants to take us. So South Dakota was not on our list per se, but we were open-minded.
Sure.
So we came and we just loved the people, had some great conversations. We're excited about the community, excited to raise our boys here. And we love the small town city close. Now, a city, Sioux Falls, doesn't really compare to the cities I grew up around.
Sure.
But it's just fine for us.
Right.
And we can go and travel and do other things. But it kind of had everything we needed with that small town feel. And we just love the people. I always said, especially when we were first transitioning, the place is cold, but the people are warm. And so that made the transition for us here a lot easier.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Cold place, warm people.
Yeah.
That'll preach. So was there a Costco? Because I have some friends that moved from Washington to Sioux Falls, and they almost no-go because there wasn't a Costco at that time.
Oh, okay. Well, see, one of the reasons why I felt okay moving to our small town in Washington was because they did have a Costco. Okay. We had as many, and then we upgraded. And so then when we moved out here, actually, Target was an hour away from where I lived. We had a Walmart, but Target was an hour away. So when I looked and I was like, I can drive 15 minutes to Target and I'm sold, ready to go. Pack my bags. Now, if we could have Trader Joe's, then my life would be mostly complete. But I'm still
Trader
waiting for
Joe's,
that.
that's really, my wife and I went to a conference in Oceanside this last February. And I had never been in a Trader Joe's. That's a uniquely California thing.
Yeah, it started in Pasadena, not far from where I'm from. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they sell things there that I'm like, wow, you can buy this? It's just cool.
Yeah.
And the people there are awesome.
I feel like I'm doing good things for the world when I introduce people to Trader Joe's.
Nice.
Sometimes, whenever we leave town to go to a conference or something with my girlfriends, there's always going to be a Trader Joe's stop.
Okay, so this is something we're talking about Brandon, the community of Brandon, and many times we talk about the local business, shopping local. Claire, this is something I think we can agree on. We need to have a Trader Joe's in the I-90 Plaza.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because we're neighbors. I mean, not virtual. We're like real neighbors. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Trader Joe's right down the hill there.
Right. Well, I'm not the only one that's going to far reaches to go to Trader Joe's. So we would kind of take our community up a notch by bringing Trader Joe's to town. I know. Simple.
It's a done deal.
Yeah.
Let's get Tony on it.
Yeah, right. I'm sure there's probably like a Facebook page out there that's like, Sioux Falls or South Dakota for Trader Joe's or something.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Let's look at it. Well, so tell us a little bit about now. You've been here. In Brandon. Talk a little bit about what's going on. What are you seeing from where you're at as far as a community? I know you're very involved with our Brandon Wellness Initiative and are part of that team. What would a wellness center mean for the community of Brandon? How do you see that? What kind of an impact could that have for your family, for the families that you serve here in our community? What would that mean to have a place like that?
Yeah, well, not having a lot of small town experience, I understand that our small town is unique to what a lot of other people have experienced in South Dakota because we have 5 elementary schools. Five, and we're really spread out. And so you end up having all these little micro communities, which are really vital. I think everybody loves their school. Their school's the best. There's a great sense of that in our community. But we don't have that small town central place, for people to gather or where the information is found or where there's an event that everybody wants to go to, just that drawing place. And I feel like a wellness center could encompass a lot of different things from, activities, recreation, obviously health and fitness, but just as a place of like, here, we have this resource we want to share with the community and kind of bringing that together. I also see we have a lot of hardworking people in Brandon and a lot of parents, families with two hardworking people. And so to give a place for kids to be safe, especially in the summer, to have those kind of activities, we don't keep a super busy schedule, and that's part of just our nature is that we're not trying to overload our schedule. But I love having the pool, and I love having things in town. Sioux Falls has great pools, but it's not worth it to me to go that far. I want to be in town, and so I feel like a wellness center would just bring another layer of involvement and activity and kind of give another bit of identity for our community too.
Yeah. So Trader Joe's #1, community wellness 1B.
Sure. Yeah,
yes. Okay.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Let's work on that. Okay. Now tell us a little bit about your passion. We've talked about this, and actually something that you're very passionate about is women's issues, women's ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a woman, so please enlighten 70% of our audience is female. So please speak to this, what you see when it comes to women's issues and women's ministry and building community within amongst, I guess, ladies. Am I using the right terms here?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm using
I'm
the right
not
term.
offended yet.
Okay. This is a safe place.
I
Good.
know, right? My heart has always been for women's ministry. I think it started when I had my first kids, and they were starting a new group for young moms, and then they had mentor women, kind of like a MOPS type of a scenario, but just a sense of like, I have a place to air my feelings. I have a safe place where people can give advice or speak into me. I have a place where people will know if I'm missing, know if I show up. And so I feel like as women, our identities go through different seasons. And so sometimes it's hard to figure out where do we fit in and where do we belong and how do we have community while we're running with kids or while we're working full time or, gosh, now I'm an empty nester and I don't have that school network anymore. And so I've just always had a heart for women and plugging into their identity in Christ, but also being in community together with one another. And so one of the things that we kind of dreamed up recently was, and apparently it's a popular term, but we have this idea for a woven group within our church, but I think it extends to the community because the whole idea is that we are woven into God's story, but we're also woven into each other's story.
Sure.
And so as we go about, we're in our churches or our schools or our workplaces or whatever, we're not we're not altogether disconnected. Like our lives intersect, the soccer team that my son was on 3 years ago, now one of those players is on his football team. There's always this intersection of relationship. And whether we do it on purpose or not, our lives are interwoven and there's a strength that comes from that. There's a beauty that comes from that and seeing the design and the purpose in that. And I think women, maybe they don't seem as competitive as men, but there's a competition of trying to measure up. And so we have to work hard to break down barriers so that we can appreciate our wovenness, I guess, or our community.
The most competitive people I know are women, by the way.
Well, yeah.
So
it's just a little more subtle, maybe.
In some cases, yes. In others, not. So.
But, we're all trying to figure out, are we doing it right? Are we getting it right? Am I ruining my kids? Is my marriage right? Am I achieving what I want? And so kind of seeing our identity woven into God's story and woven into each other's story kind of puts us on the same playing field. Yeah. And so every year we do an event for women. We just want to encourage and pour in. And there's something about like when you put aside a chunk of time, the things that can take place in our hearts and in our minds to renew us and encourage us is so different than like I have an hour here or I have an hour there. So we do kind of a Friday, Saturday event where we just try to encourage and equip women in faith and in life. And this year we have this awesome opportunity to have a speaker out of Colorado, Becky Schultz. She runs Families Alive, which equips families in faith and raising their kids and stuff like that. And so she's coming out. We thought, let's share this. This is awesome. We want to share it. And not only do we want to share it, but we want to make it accessible. So I know
Sure.
there's a lot of events out there, and Becky runs a ministry, so she's not coming to make money, which is a blessing. But so we said, let's keep their prices and see if women will come and be a part of the community. We're going to do live worship, and something that we're really excited about is connecting with other women in our community that are there to help you. So we've got, Carrie Allen's a little bit outside of our community, but she does grief ministry with parents who've lost kids. Stacy Ahmed does wellness, Revelation Wellness.
Yep.
I'm hoping that Jenny Eggers is going to join us. Jenny, if you hear this, but she's working on her schedule to join us, and she does horse therapy, just different, hey, these women are here because our theme is endurance. And we've all endured COVID, so we kind of know what that word means, right? But there are times when the journey is long, right? Or the journey is difficult and we want to give up, right? It's too hard. We just can't make it through. Or we're trying to see to the end, but we can only see that next step. And really kind of just trying to equip women to say, you can endure, you can have hope. And, God has set forth all these things to build you up. And look at these women around you who can journey with you. Because you know what? When you're in a hard place, it's too late to try and make friends.
Right.
I mean, it's not too late, but it's
Right.
hard to start. It's hard to start from the beginning. And so our vision is just that not only that these women would be equipped, but then we would see these friendly faces. And then the next time we go to the grocery store, it's like, hey, we're on the same team, right? We are doing life. And maybe you're not in a hard place right now. Maybe endurance doesn't sound like it applies to you. But even the things that we enjoy take endurance.
Right.
Look at a teacher. Look at a mother. Most people would do it all over again, but there are times when you need help to endure even the good things. And how do we do that well?
That's so cool, because I really believe, and I think this is one of the things that your husband and I share, and I feel from you as well, that we're better together. It takes a variety of people to make a community. It takes a variety of businesses. It takes a variety of churches. It takes a variety of teachers to reach a variety of people. And that woven picture is such a beautiful thing. I really do believe that in Brandon, we have the opportunity to capture that. And really just by layering and weaving. That's it. Weaving. By weaving, together, our lives together in this time and place we're here together. That's just a beautiful picture. So how could we get more information about this? We'll obviously put links and stuff, but just maybe a website or dates.
Yeah. Thank you. Dates. Those are helpful.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's Friday night, November 4th, and then Saturday, November 5th. Goes till about 1:30. So it doesn't take your whole weekend, but we are asking you to make a little commitment. And, that Friday night kind of gets you started, and then you simmer overnight, and then you come and you're really ready. So November 4th and 5th. And we have a link through our church website. So it's faithunitedepc.org. And it's Renewal Endurance. There's a women's ministry tab. You can find it there. We also have a Facebook event out there. I've got a QR code. Whatever you need, I'll get it to you. But yeah, we do have online registration, so it's super simple and easy. Right now we have an early bird special, so it's $10 off until October 1st. But then even then it's only $45, and that includes some food and some great worship and equipping. And so
Well, it so fits into this vision of Brandon Wellness. Of finding ways and connections. It fits just very, very tightly together. So thank you, Claire, for coming on. My goodness, we're going to have you back. I feel like we just scratched the surface. But let's stay connected on this Trader Joe thing, okay?
Okay, yeah.
If nothing else,
Yeah.
we got to pull one of those. We got to talk to Joe somehow.
Yeah, we could probably rally a group or some kind of,
Okay, let's work on that. Well, thanks for joining us. This episode and this season is brought to you by Brandon Wellness. You can go to brandonwellness.com and you can learn more about the community center, the wellness center, and you can contribute and be a part of that. So just go to brandonwellness.com. Thanks for joining us, and share, comment this episode. And if you know Claire, share it. If you don't know Claire, watch it. Cool video. So, all right, talk to you soon.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. The purpose of the Love Your Neighbor podcast is to build community one conversation at a time. You can help us build that community by sharing the podcast on your social media channels and rating our podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Another way is to let us know of any neighbors who have a story. Go Leaks!